Sorry, I proposed to my colleague by accident, and she said yes like she'd been waiting. Have you ever had a moment that completely changed your life in the most unexpected way? That's what happened to me. 1 second I was fumbling with a ring box that wasn't even meant for her, and the next I was engaged to the woman I'd worked beside for 3 years but never truly seen. If you're enjoying this wild journey already, hit that like button and subscribe to follow more of life's beautiful accidents that turn into destiny. The fluorescent lights of our office buzzed overhead as I sat at my desk, nervously turning the small velvet box in my pocket. It wasn't supposed to be for Eliza. The ring inside was meant for Vanessa, my girlfriend of 2 years who I was planning to propose to that weekend. I'd picked up the ring during lunch and couldn't risk leaving it in my car where Vanessa might find it if she used my vehicle. You look like you're about to be sick, Eliza said, rolling her chair over to my desk. Her dark curls were pulled back in her usual messy bun, a few strands framing her face. Quarterly reports aren't that bad, James. I forced a laugh. Just nervous about something else. Spill it, she insisted, the way she always did. That was Eliza, direct, no nonsense, but somehow always warm. We'd been desk neighbors since she joined the marketing team 3 years ago. She was brilliant at her job, funny in that dry way that sometimes took people a moment to catch up with, and had become my closest friend at work. I'm proposing to Vanessa this weekend, I whispered, glancing around to make sure no one else heard. Something flickered across Eliza's face, so quickly I almost missed it. Wow, she said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. That's big. Want to see the ring? I asked, not registering her hesitation. I pulled out the box and fumbled with the clasp. It slipped from my fingers, tumbling to the floor between us. What happened next plays in my memory like a slow-motion scene from a movie. I dropped to one knee to retrieve it just as the box popped open. Eliza also bent down to help, and suddenly we were face to face, me on one knee, the open ring box between us. Our department head chose that exact moment to walk by with clients. Oh my goodness, she exclaimed loudly, drawing everyone's attention. James is proposing. Eliza's eyes widened in panic. The entire office erupted in applause and cheers. Phones came out to capture the moment. I froze, mortified and confused. And then Eliza did something I never expected. Her expression softened, tears welled in her eyes, and she whispered, yes. The office exploded in congratulations. People were hugging us, taking photos, someone popped a bottle of champagne kept for special occasions. Through it all, Eliza and I exchanged looks of absolute bewilderment. What are you doing? I hissed when we finally got a moment alone in the break room. What are you doing? She shot back. You're the one who got down on one knee with a ring. It was an accident. I dropped it. Well, I couldn't embarrass you in front of everyone and those important clients, she said, running her hands through her hair, dislodging more curls from her bun. Your promotion depends on that account. She was right. The clients were crucial, and our boss had been hinting that whoever impressed them most would be up for the senior position. A humiliating misunderstanding wouldn't have helped my chances. We'll just tell everyone it was a joke later, I suggested weakly. Eliza's phone buzzed. She looked down and groaned. Too late. It's already on the company's social media page. Love in the workplace. Congratulations to our own James and Eliza. My phone was exploding with notifications too. Friends, family, colleagues all congratulating us. And then came the text from Vanessa, is there something you want to tell me? That night was chaos. Vanessa broke up with me, understandably, after I tried to explain the situation. She didn't believe it was an accident, convinced I'd been having an affair with Eliza all along. I couldn't blame her, how ridiculous did my explanation sound? Eliza and I agreed to come clean the next day. But when we arrived at work, we were met with decorations, cake, and genuine happiness from our colleagues. Our boss pulled us aside to say how thrilled she was, and that she'd been hoping we'd get together for years. The chemistry between you two has been obvious to everyone but yourselves, she said with a wink. We can't tell them now, Eliza whispered as we stood before our celebrating co-workers. We'll crush them. So what do we do? I asked, panic rising. Fake it for a week, then have a mutual breakup? It seemed like the only option. We agreed to pretend for just 1 week. That week changed everything. Suddenly, I was seeing Eliza in a completely different light. We had dinner at her apartment to plan our relationship timeline, and I discovered she was an incredible cook. Her place was filled with books I loved and art that spoke to me. She had a cat named Fitzgerald who immediately decided I was his new favorite person. He never likes anyone, she said, surprised as the cat curled up in my lap. He hissed at Vanessa the one time she came over. You've met Vanessa? I asked, surprised. Eliza looked away. Once, at the holiday party. She seemed nice. The hesitation in her voice made me curious. But? Nothing. She's lovely. Very polished. I laughed. That's diplomatic. Vanessa is intense, I know. You two seemed very well matched, Eliza said carefully. Did we? I found myself wondering. Vanessa and I had looked good on paper, both ambitious, both following the life plan we'd set for ourselves. But sitting in Eliza's cozy apartment, with her mismatched furniture and walls covered in travel photos and art from local creators, I realized how little of Vanessa I actually knew after 2 years. As the week progressed, we fell into an easy rhythm. We carpooled to work, had lunch together, which, to be fair, we'd often done before, and spent evenings planning our breakup. Except the planning sessions turned into movie nights, cooking dinner together, and staying up talking until 2 a.m. about everything and nothing. I learned that Eliza had wanted to be a photojournalist before settling for marketing. She showed me her stunning photographs from trips to Vietnam, Peru, and Croatia. I told her about my abandoned dream of writing novels, something I'd never even told Vanessa. Why did you stop? She asked, genuinely interested. It wasn't practical, I said, echoing my father's words. Practical is overrated, she replied. The world needs more beauty, more stories. By day 5 of our charade, I realized with startling clarity that I was falling for her. The thought terrified me. Was it just the situation? The intimacy forced upon us by our predicament? On day 6, we attended a dinner with our colleagues. Someone asked how we got together, and before I could fumble through an answer, Eliza spoke. We were friends for so long that I think we both were afraid to risk it, she said, her eyes not meeting mine. But James has always seen me, really seen me, when I felt invisible to everyone else. Her words hit me like a physical force. Had she been harboring feelings for me all this time? Later that night, as we walked to her apartment, I gathered my courage. That story you told, about me seeing you. Was any of that real? She stopped walking, the streetlight illuminating half her face in golden light. Does it matter? In 2 days, we're staging our breakup, remember? It matters to me, I said quietly. Eliza took a deep breath. Fine. Yes. Some of it was real. I've had feelings for you almost since we met. But you were always with Vanessa, and I respected that. I valued our friendship too much to complicate things. Why didn't you ever say anything? For the same reason you never noticed, she said with a sad smile. We see what we expect to see. You expected a work friend, so that's all I was to you. I stepped closer to her. I'm seeing a lot more now. The kiss that followed wasn't planned, wasn't part of our charade. It was real and overwhelming and clarifying. Everything I hadn't known I was looking for was suddenly right in front of me. What are we doing? She whispered when we finally broke apart. I don't know, I admitted. But I don't want to pretend anymore, not about this. The next day, we decided to come clean to everyone. We gathered our colleagues and told them the truth, that the proposal had been an accident, meant for someone else. There were gasps and confused looks. But, I continued, taking Eliza's hand, sometimes the best things in life happen by accident. While our engagement wasn't real, what I've discovered this week is, I've fallen in love with my best friend, and I'm hoping we can start for real, no pretending. The office erupted in cheers again, though some were clearly confused by the roller coaster we'd taken them on. Our boss just shook her head with a knowing smile. Took you long enough to figure it out. That was 2 years ago. Yesterday, I proposed to Eliza for real, with a ring chosen specifically for her. We were hiking to a waterfall she'd always wanted to photograph. When we reached it, I got down on one knee, this time intentionally. I'm not dropping this one by accident, I told her, opening the box to reveal a sapphire surrounded by tiny diamonds, nothing like the traditional solitaire I'd chosen for Vanessa. This time, I'm asking on purpose. Will you marry me, for real? She laughed through her tears. I've been waiting for you to ask that question since the day we met. Life rarely goes according to plan. Sometimes the best things happen when everything goes wrong. Eliza and I found each other through a mistake, but choosing to stay together every day since has been the most intentional thing I've ever done. If there's one thing I've learned from this journey, it's that the universe sometimes has to resort to dramatic measures to push us toward where we're supposed to be. The people we're meant to love might be right beside us all along, just waiting for us to truly see them. If you've enjoyed our story, please like this video and subscribe to hear more about our continuing journey together. Sometimes the greatest love stories aren't the ones we plan, but the ones that plan themselves for us.